All right, in order to be successful for today's instruction, please take out your notebook. Let's go. We got a lot to do. Okay. Yesterday, I did the first lecture. We left off at what? Boer Wars. Perfect. Okay, so let's do it. So, when we talk about imperialism, it's really important that you understand that the reason why all the Europeans are really imperializing is for essentially three reasons. We talked about them yesterday. What is the big two reasons that Europeans are going out? Thomas? No. No. They justify it by religious ideologies, but they're not doing it for that. What do you got? Resources and? Oh, no. Dylan? Markets. Markets and natural raw materials. So those are the two big reasons. The third reason, they also want to be competitive, right? They also want to be the best that there is, so that kind of competition is going to be a huge part. So the people who are suffering are going to be the indigenous, because they're coming in there trying to make money, trying to take over as much as they possibly can, and they're abusing the hell out of the indigenous, and we're going to see this over and over and over again. Okay, so when we talk about the Boer Wars in South Africa, we have the Dutch people who are the first to colonize. Their children who are born on the continent of Africa are called what? Afrikaners. Okay, those are the children of Dutch citizens. So they're white people who were born in Africa to the Dutch. The Boers are going to be the indigenous tribes in South Africa. They're the indigenous tribes. The Boer Wars are going to be the Dutch, the natives, and the British all fighting over the land. Okay, so how did the British come in? The British are going to see these little conflicts, and they're going to take over South Africa. The British take over South Africa and push the Afrikaners and the Boers north. Once they get
that. Could you try again?
Once the Afrikaners get pushed north, what do they find in the mountains? Have we got there? Gold, diamond, emerald, rubies. Pretty good little haul. So guess what the British want? Diamonds, emeralds, rubies, gold. So the British are then going to try to remove, and this is the key part you need to know. The British are going to then kick the white people, the Afrikaners, further north, and they're going to put the Boers in concentration camps. Write it down. The Boers. Shut up. Stop. The Boers are going to be put in concentration camp. A concentration camp, obviously when you think of a concentration camp, you should probably think of the Holocaust. It's probably the most familiar you are to. A concentration camp is when one population puts an entire population of people in a territory to harass them and to do genocide. So it's supposed to be slow, painful, it's emotionally destructive, and it's supposed to slowly kill and create genocide. That's what a concentration camp is. That's what they're doing to the indigenous. Put a big star. The British are going to be highly criticized for this. Now, are all European nations okay with killing black people? Yeah, they are. They are. There's no rules against it. The Berlin Conference, everyone was fine with it. They just thought the concentration camps were too far. So they're going to get highly criticized, and then they will stop doing concentration camps. And they will replace it with what law system? It's South Africa. So what law system is coming? It's apartheid. 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 I don't need you to know too much about it, but this is what's coming. Apartheid is one of the most the most restrictive, abusive, racist systems in the history of the world. And it is a genuine improvement over concentration camps, but not by a lot. And that's what apartheid is. What do you got? APARTHEID. Apartheid. Okay. Now, you should be familiar with apartheid. That should jingle your ears as something familiar because you know Nelson Mandela. He's the guy who overthrows apartheid. We're coming up to this. That's not until the 1970s. But these are where the foundational things are coming from. Okay. All right. Congo is your next heading. Okay. You need to know that Congo is owned by one person. One person owns it. And his name is King Leopold II. He owns it. It is his. It is not Belgium's. It is his. So you know how we just talked about the concentration camps by the British? And that's absolutely deplorable and disgusting and absolutely horrific. This is worse. This is worse. Put a big star. The Congo is the worst place for indigenous Africans. It is the worst place. Okay. During transatlantic, you don't have to write this part. During transatlantic slavery, Europeans are going to move 6 million Africans off the continent. Six. That's a lot. King Leopold is going to kill 8 million in the Congo. Huh? It's more than, no, 9 million people die in the Holocaust, but that's with total. 6 million, I think, are Jews, 2 million are gypsies, and mixes of other things. So it's more, I am comfortable saying it's more than the Jews of the Holocaust. He does this. Him. How does he do it? Slavery. He forces all these people into direct slavery and uses brutal tactics. AKA, he just kills entire groups of people every single day to terrorize the rest. So his people, it's not just him, obviously, he can't do this all by himself. His people just walk into territories and just kill people just because they can. And that keeps people working hard. That's the goal. And I mean that with complete and utter sarcasm. It's completely demonic. It is so bad. You need to write this down. The Belgian people are horrified and force him to turn it over to the Belgian state. Now, let's be clear. He, as an individual, owns his territory and rules it in the most horrific ways possible. The Belgian people are so disgusted by what he is doing in this territory. They're like, you need to sell it to us. Like, we cannot let you do that. So they force the king of their country to give up this one specific territory of theirs. Keep in mind, does this mean the Belgian people are just so morally of the high ground? No. The Belgian country owns 3 other colonies in the continent of Africa, and they're doing horrible things to Africans. The problem is that King Leopold in his own territory were so much more extreme than the horrible conditions that are being done other way. So if the Belgian people who are okay with the abuse of black people were horrified by the atrocities of King Leopold II, how horrible were his behavior? Yeah, pretty horrific. Keep in mind, 8 million people are going to die in like a span of 40 years. Moving forward, India is where we're going to head next. Okay, you need to know that India is going to be taken over by the British East India Company. India is taken over by the British East India Company, and there's no more Mughal rule. Who are the Mughals? What a little fun review. Who are the Mughals, Rohan?
They were like rulers of India who were tolerant and they were like Muslims.
They're not super tolerant. We do have Akbar, who was super tolerant, who's like the greatest of all time. What do you got, Stella?
They were the richest emperor of all time, which is why Britain said they were considered riches.
There we go. They're the wealthiest empire of all time. They're the ones who are controlling most of the worldwide trade for a very long time. The British are going to eventually kick them out, and they are going to rule. You need to know that when they take over, the British create something called a sepoy. A sepoy is an Indian who fights for the British military. It's literally right there. A sepoy is an Indian who fights for the British. Now, why would an Indian boy put on a British uniform in India? Why would they do it, Luke?
Because they're forced to?
No, they're not actually forced. Well, think about it. If I forced you to do something, then I handed you a gun. How's that going to work out for me? Right? That's a pretty terrible idea. So why? How do they convince all these Indian boys to put on the uniform?
Money?
Oh yeah, they pay them huge salaries. Why do they care so much about having a bunch of Indians in British outfits? Why do they care so much, Harding? Why do they want it so bad? They are paying like almost 15 times the salary of the Indian soldiers.
Just the Indians like know the area or
It's not a bad answer. It's not a bad answer at all. Dylan?
It's just like the people, like, they're not as, like, mad at them.
There you go. Okay, so imagine China takes us over, and outside my room stands a Chinese dude with a gun. How do we all feel? We just got taken over our country, and we have their foreign military with a foreign dude standing outside our room with a gun. We'd be terrified. We'd be a little bit better if there was an American boy with an American accent standing outside a door in a Chinese uniform. We can at least feel like we can relate to them and be like, hey, give us a break. Come on, come on. And, you know, that type of relatableness. That's why the British do it. Why do the British do this only in India? They're not going around and hiring Nigerians to fight. Why, Rinkus?
because they make the most money there. So they
Yes, it all comes back to money, people. Yes, the British are doing this only in India because what is the most valuable Indian damn it. I gave you the answer. Shit. India is the most valuable. So they want the Indian people to be happy so the Indian people will happily go to work and then make all the goods that the British are profiting off of. They need them to go to their little farms so they can steal all the raw materials and all the stuff from them. Okay? That is what it comes down to is they need them to be happy so they have money. The sepoys are coming back here in just a few minutes. All right. East Asia. East Asia. You need to know. We already talked about the Boxer Rebellion. I taught it to you last week. What is the Boxer Rebellion? Thomas.
it's a rebellion made up of Chinese conservatives who know they targeted or who.
Keep it simple, stupid. You're completely right. What you're saying is completely right, but keep it simple, stupid, Thomas. Huh?
They overthrew the
No. Viola.
When like they killed all the white people in China.
Yeah. What's the outcome of it? Chinese people kill all the. They don't kill all the white people, but they're trying to kill all the white people. What's the outcome?
The outcome is like a full-on revolution.
No. Lily.
Spheres of influence.
Spheres of influence. Okay, so the Boxer Rebellion, a bunch of Chinese peasants are super pissed at white people because of foreign influence. You should probably write this down since we didn't get it the first time. The Boxer Rebellion, the Chinese citizens are rebelling against Western influence. Chinese citizens are rebelling against Western influence, and they're trying to kill white people. They do a pretty good job. They kill a lot. I think they kill like 3,000 Europeans. There's not that many Europeans in China. There is a lot, but not like half the population or anything. The impact or the outcome of it is that European nations will now, oh my God, when you put your military in somewhere, occupy, thank you. Now European nations will occupy territories of China. So when we're talking about the outcome of the Boxer Rebellion, it makes Europeans even more powerful. Makes them way more powerful. If I have a whole military protecting me, and there you are in China, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want, and that gives us the right to do it. So it is going to lead to the spheres of influence. So it's going to bring militaries of Europe into China, and it's going to create spheres of influence. Okay, Japan is where we're heading to next. Japan does not have enough natural resources because they are?
Island.
They're an island, and they're industrialized. So they are looking out for raw materials, markets, and they want to compete with Europe. Keep in mind, if you're the only Asian nation who is industrialized, you have a lot to live up to. Yeah, so they want to stay competitive with Europeans, and they're going to use imperialism as another major tool, and we're going to see this. They're specifically going to go after Hawaii and Guam. They're going to lose them. They're not going to get them, but they're going to do a lot towards it. What do you got?
Is there also islands, like, what do you get from that?
Huh?
The Hawaii, like, it's an island?
It is an island, but it has better farmland than Japan does. Japan doesn't have great farmland, and that's one of the major issues. And Hawaii is warmer. So Hawaii can grow cotton. It can grow a bunch of those really valuable cash crops that Japan can't. All right. Okay, new products is your next heading. New products. Okay, you need to know that the Dutch in Southeast Asia. So, what would be a country in Southeast Asia? Thomas? Philippines. Yes, that would be there. Thailand. Charlie?
Russia?
Southeast Asia?
Northeast, south. No.
Yeah, no.
Philippines, India.
No, India's wrong. Let's just believe me, it's Thailand. Well, let's just walk away. Thailand and Malaysia. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no. Russia is like top of the world, boss. Norther? Yes, absolutely. Okay, so the Dutch. You need to know that spices are still being sold. Those aren't new items. The big items that are happening for the Dutch is going to be rubber. Rubber. Tea and sugar are the other major profitable items that are coming out of the Dutch. But the number one item right now is rubber. And that is where they're going to spend most of their time. The French. Here we go. You need to know the French are going to take over Vietnam. Oh my God, is there going to be long-term consequences that will lead to the result of American deaths because of this? Yes. So we're starting to come into conflicts that are directly going to affect Americans who are still alive today because we have Vietnam vets who are still alive today. Okay, so France is going to conquer Vietnam, and they are also going to take over Cambodia and Laos, which is all right here if you don't know. Okay? The reason why they're conquering these territories is because they want rubber. Rubber. The number one crop coming out of Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos right now is going to be rubber. What do you got?
What do they do with rubber?
It's everything. It's cars. It's manufacturing. It's literally everything that you could possibly think of. Rubber trees is what makes non-synthetic. Synthetic means it's made with chemicals. Everything before the 1950s was all made from rubber from trees. So that's what they're using it for. Okay, so until the 1950s, do we have the chemical revolution that we start getting synthetic everything, which is both wonderful and terrible. All right, you need to know that the British are going to take over what we will call Malaysia today. And they are there for 3 products, and they are going to make a fortune off of them. And these are the new products. The first one is tin. What are we using tin for, Joshua?
Oh,
Tin. Have you been in your kitchen? No. Viola, tin cans. What do we put in tin cans? Food. Yeah, preservatives and food and all that stuff. So you need to write down tin cans. Because in the 1850s, what do we start doing? Canning. Absolutely. So, tin cans. Tin is needed for cans. You need to know palm oil is the other major crop that they are absolutely making a fortune off of. You need to know it's used for machine lubrication. Machine lubrication. So, we're in the kind of weird spot. They used to use oil like from the ground, like the dinosaur insides. That used to... That's kind of fun. Anyway, okay. Anyway, it used to be from the ground, the black oil, that's what they used to do. But it burns off pretty quick, and it's very expensive to replace, and it's very dirty and causes a lot of burning, like the dark smoke. So they're going to transition to palm oil. Palm oil does not burn off, so it stays on for a very long time. As a very high heat thing, you don't need to know all this, and it burns cleaner, which means it's not as heavy as smoke. Eventually, will be replaced by synthetic oil, which is what we've been using since the 1950s. And third item that is coming out of Malaysia is going to be rubber. Is the world economy changing?
yeah.
Yes. We're not talking about, oh, they have spices. I know this week your family are going to be using all the spices from the Spice Islands. Nutmeg, cardamom, allspice. All those things you're going to be putting in your apple pies and all that shit are all coming from Malaysia, huh? Pumpkin spice? Not quite, but yes. Pumpkin, absolutely. Cardamom's in pumpkin pie. Allspices in pumpkin pie. Nutmeg is absolutely in pumpkin pie. Are you excited about your pumpkin? Pumpkin spice. She's so sweet. It's a mix of spices. Did you think they just took a pumpkin and just shook it and then spices fell out?
I knew
It's
that,
called
but I thought it
pumpkin.
was a spice.
It's called pumpkin spice because it's what's added to pumpkin flavor to give it those American like tastes we like cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom. All of those are added, and that's what gives it that like flavor, like your Thanksgiving and Christmas. But it's the actual spices that do that, not actual pumpkin. Okay. Next, American. Oh yeah, guys, let's get to it. American imperialism is your next heading. Oh my God, like America as in like United States? Oh my God, guys, are we imperialists? Yes. Here we go. The first thing you need to know is that we just straight up remove the indigenous. And what is the most famous example of removing the indigenous? What do we got, Charlie?
Trail of Tears.
Trail of Tears. We're removing the Cherokee. You should know that because, damn, you should just know that. Because it's part of our history. And, like, the reason why I talk so much shit about America is because I want you to be better for America. By hearing the flaws, you can fix it. By hearing the mistakes, right? The most important words I think that we have in our Constitution is in pursuit of a more perfect union. So by acknowledging what we have done horribly wrong and disgustingly wrong, we can make better choices going forward. So, Trail of Tears, you need to know it's the removal of the Cherokee from the southeast to Oklahoma. Fun little fact, just so you can think about it. The U.S. Army purposely put smallpox flakes off of infected people and put it in the blankets and then gave it to the natives. That was a decisive action done by our military. Just let that marinate for a second. Okay, second thing that you need to know is the Monroe Doctrine. What president wrote it?
James Monroe.
Oh my God, you guys are really figuring it out. He's our 9th president? Monroe. The doctrine says no European nations can imperialize the Western Hemisphere, and you need to know it. Oh my God, we are heroes, guys. We said no to European imperialism because we're protecting them, right?
Nope.
Why are we doing this, Amy? Who is going to imperialize if the Europeans don't imperialize? Us. We don't want Europeans here because we want to imperialize. So you need to know that. The Monroe Doctrine is supposed to keep the Europeans out so America can imperialize on Latin America. And do we?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, we are going to spend the rest of this year together talking about how we are going to imperialize Latin America. Okay, you need to know the Spanish-American War is going to give the United States Guam, Puerto Rico, Philippines, Cuba. Okay. Guam, Puerto Rico, Philippines, Cuba. Okay. You need to also know the term manifest destiny. It's a very American term. From sea to shining sea. Okay? We love it. We love imperialism so much we wrote a cute little song about it. Okay. Manifest destiny is the belief that America was given to us by God, and we have the right to go coast to coast. Okay? It's about expansion. So God gave us this territory, and who are we to say no? And we just keep on pushing. You need to know that we are going to take over Hawaii. Write it down. We're going to take over Hawaii in a coup. What is a coup, Lily? C-O-U-P. You can put an E at the end and put a little triangle on top if you want to be French.
It's like an internalized rebellion.
That's very generous, but I'm gonna say no. Izzy?
It's where you stage to overthrow one ruler.
Is it a small thing or a little thing? A big thing or a little thing? Yes, a coup. If you don't know what it is, write it down. Is when a small group of people overthrow a government. Does anyone know the dude who overthrows the Hawaiian government? His last name is Dole.
Like the brand?
Yup. And what is Dole super famous for? Pineapples.
That makes sense.
Oh, it's maybe for the reason.
It's him.
It's literally him?
It's him.
No way.
Dole is the guy who overthrew the Hawaiian government because he wanted to import his pineapples at a cheaper cost to Hawaii. So he overthrew an independent nation so he could sell his pineapples at a cheaper cost. So every time that you eat a Dole Whip at Disney World, you are an imperialist being. I will tell you, full disclosure, I did go to Hawaii. I did go to the Dole plantation, and I did have a Dole Whip. So I'm an elitist imperialist as well. It was delicious. Also, pineapples, the way they grow is wild. Have you ever seen bizarre? They're like, it's weird. They like grow out of the ground.
Yeah, they look like a plant and it's like.
Yeah, and then there's just a pineapple. It's bizarre. Okay. Okay, manifest destiny. You need to know that Hawaii is just taken over. Oh, the Transcontinental Railway is completed. Transcontinental Railway is completed, which will connect the Pacific to the Atlantic, San Francisco to New York. Okay. Why is this a big deal? Why does this support manifest destiny? Why does this support all of these things, Callie? Why is the transcontinental a big deal?
So like they can figure out new land.
They can figure out new land? What does that mean?
Or like discover the new land that they
No, they built a train over it. They know what's there. Why is it a big deal? Stella?
It helps them travel to expand.
Yeah. Well, it's not like travel to expand. Guys, it gets more white people out there. It moves people faster. Hi, do are you guys gonna jump into a covered wagon and ride across the West for 3.5 months and might die?
That's what the Oregon Trail is.
Yeah, but how many of those people do you really think did it? Are you jumping on a wagon and riding out west?
I actually did in the game.
I know. That was my generation, so don't you dare talk shit about that game, okay? With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about that moving out west, that whole idea of getting into your little covered wagon and cruising out there, that is manifest destiny. And some people are going to go. I would not. No way. Absolutely not. However, as soon as we get a train out there, what is going to surge exponentially? Expansion, population. Absolutely. Everyone's like, oh, I can just get on a train and then in 3 weeks I could be in California. You sign me up. And that's exactly what they do. And then they get on their little trolleys and then they do the little thing, their little thingies and go. All right. Russia is where we're heading to next. Okay, when we talk about Russia, you need to know that Catherine the Great is going to expand it the largest, expand Russia the most. Yeah, we've already talked about her, but we're just coming back to her. We've already finished our women. We're done. Yeah. Catherine the Great, she expands Russia to its farthest point. You need to know the Great Game. AP likes it. I think it's kind of anticlimactic. The Great Game is between Russia and Britain over Afghanistan. It's over Afghanistan. This is going to drive up competition. Drives up competition that will cause World War I. So the Great Game is a huge indicator for the cause of World War I. Essentially what they're doing is they're just trying to piss each other off. England and Russia are just doing like tit for tat stupid stuff. If Russia does something stupid, then the British do something stupid, and then they get closer and closer and closer. And it's this whole like war games thing, like who's gonna pull the trigger first. And at the end, they both walk away, but it causes this hatred, this resentment, which is going to continue and lead to World War I, lead to World War II, of course, and a disaster. All right. Indigenous responses is your next heading. Okay. Let me be clear. No one in the world was standing on a beach clapping when the white people showed up. Okay? The indigenous did not want the Europeans to arrive and take over. No one was like, oh, thank God you guys are here. We've been needing you. Every single place in the world is fighting back. No one wants to be conquered. No one wants to be stripped of their culture, their ideologies, their belief systems. Every part of the world is fighting back. So, what do we got? Let's start with the United States. Okay? In the United States, we're going to have the Cherokee. Okay? The Cherokee are going to fight back when what they call the ghost dance. Okay? What it is, they get so desperate that they believe that if they dance long enough and hard enough, they can bring back all the dead Native American warriors, and that they will come back and fight, and then they can defeat the Americans. How's that going to go for them? Unfortunately, the ghost dance don't work. So, what you do need to know is that the last stand of the natives in this country is going to be a battle of Wounded Knee. Have you heard of it? You should have heard of it. There's a bunch of movies about it. There's a bunch of books about it. It's it's with Kevin Costner. It's a very good movie. It was early 90s. It was released. It won a bunch of Academy Awards. It's called Battle of Wounded Knee. Okay, it's called Battle of Wounded Knee. It's with Kevin Costner. It is the last stand. You have, I think, 12 different tribes come together to fight the United States cavalry out in, I think it's in like North Dakota or South Dakota. Don't quote me on that. And it is the last major stand, and they put up a hell of a fight. A hell of a fight. However, some horrific strategies the United States deploy on the last day. Miss Bennett. Hi. Hi. I can't during 5th because I have lunch duty. Okay, that's fine. As long as someone will cover my lunch duty. All right, perfect. Thank you. Okay, I know I'm very passionate about my lunch duty. I love Mr. Penn, and I don't want to disappoint him. All right, so Battle of Wounded Knee. There's a bunch of stuff about it. If you want to be really heartbroken, this is where we have the final stand, and the natives are going to lose in a horrific battle with some brutal charges. Custard is part of this. Yeah, you've heard of Custard. This is the Battle of Wounded Knee. Horrific, but America wins. General who made some very, very tough choices. He made some decisions that in 2023 light, maybe not the best, but he did win. Anyway, moving on. Latin America. Okay, in Latin America, we have a guy named Tupac. Like Tupac. Like the Tupac you're thinking of. Tupac Shakur, which is, who you're thinking of, is named after Tupac Amaru II. Yeah, Tupac's mom is of Latin American heritage. So she named her son in honor of a great leader of rebellions. Write it down. Tupac is known as he led rebellions against the Spanish. Okay, so he led rebellions against the Spanish. He's obviously going to get murdered by the Spanish. But yeah, that's what Tupac is named for. See? Now you have quit. Next time you get asked, why is he named Tupac? I'm sure you get that a lot. All right. India. Here we go. Okay. India is going to have what we call the Sepoy Rebellion. Oh my God, who are the Sepoys? I just taught you them today. Who are the Sepoy, Rohan?
They're like, if Great Britain like pays them to serve in their army.
There we go. So they are Indian boys who are wearing British uniforms, who are enforcing British law. So, what you need to know about the Sepoy Rebellion. There is a rumor. The Sepoys hear a rumor. Write it down. You need to know this. The Sepoys hear a rumor that the guns the British gave them are covered in cow or pork grease. Why is that a problem? Ellery, why is that a problem? No. Amy.
Is that against the religion?
Yeah, it's against their religion. If you're Hindu, cow's against their religion. If you're Islamic, pork's against your religion. So, the Sepoys hear a rumor that the grease on their guns that the British handed them are cow or pork. So it offends half the group. So what's going to happen is it's going to lead to the Indians fighting with their British superiors. Okay? It gets violently suppressed. Okay? What do you think the British are going to do? Yeah, they're going to kill anyone who takes up arms against the British because they can't have a rebellion. So it gets suppressed pretty quickly because the British obviously have the firepower, they have the military weapons, they have the capabilities. They obviously do. But put a big star. This is the beginning of anti-British sentiment that will lead to Indian independence. Okay, so what do you got?
Was the rumor true?
I don't know. It doesn't matter because it wasn't a factual, right? Like it doesn't matter. They triggered a response. I have no idea. If you Google it, maybe it is true, maybe it wasn't true. But it probably was. Honestly, it's the British. They probably didn't think twice about it. With that being said, you need to know it is going to lead to the creation of the Indian National Congress. Okay, so this is not that the Indians were fine with the British, but there was no universalizing thing that all Indians were like, they suck. Beforehand, some of the Indians were making a lot of money off of the British. Some of the Indians were benefiting from having more access to money because the British were paying well on some things. This is the first universalizing thing. Amy, I do need that hood off, though. All right, Vietnam. I don't care if you know about Vietnam right now. Can we skip it? Let's go to Philippines. Sorry. Okay, you need to know that the Philippines were excited to be taken over by the Americans. Why do you think they were excited? Why were they excited, Stella? No, it wasn't the Spanish. It's the Spanish.
Oh.
Spanish controlled the Philippines, which is why we got it in the Spanish-American War. So, the Spanish had the Philippines. They gave it to America after we won the war. The Philippines were very excited because they thought they were going to get their independence because we are the home of forward American thinking, and we would never be an imperialist nation. So we obviously took them, and what did we say? When they were like, oh my God, can we get our independence now? We said, no, that's not going to happen. So what you are going to see is they are going to start the Philippine Revolution. Okay, they are going to start the Philippine revolution. Okay, immediately, as soon as the United States take over. Okay, the entire time we have the Philippines, what are they trying to do?
Go away.
Gain their independence, and then the United States is going to control until 1956. Huh? Yeah.
Aren't they like really unstable now?
The Philippines? No, the Philippines are okay.
Are they?
They're okay. They're not doing like amazing. They're not like Malaysia. Malaysia is like insane. Their population increase, their economy drive is insane. Philippines are doing okay. They're doing okay. All right. Australia, because I haven't acknowledged them at all. You know about Australia, don't you? Like I don't feel like I have to like do too much. Australia, it's a penal colony. If you want to giggle a little bit because you're immature, then do so. Penal colony means it's a prison camp. So there are too many people in British prisons. So where do they send them? Australia. They send them to Australia, and they just like drop them off, and they say go, and they can either like thrive or die. They have like a little. At the very beginning of it, they had like one little street, and you couldn't live in the street. You couldn't bother like the town, the mayor or anything, but you could do whatever you wanted. So some of them just drank themselves to death. Some of them killed each other, and it was just a wild world. Or spiders or shit, and all the 1,000 things that can kill you in Australia killed them. Eventually, what's discovered in Australia? The Aborigines were always there. The British are going to discover that there is gold, very good farmland, diamonds, and it's perfect for raising cattle. Australia is one of the largest provider of beef in the world, actually. Okay? So, soon as people start discovering gold, what are British citizens deciding to do? Yeah, they're trying to go. So all of a sudden, it used to be a penal colony where only, the worst of the crimes. There's 13 crimes that if you commit in London, you get sent to Australia because you're probably going to die because a spider bites you in the middle of the night. And then all of a sudden, people start showing up because there's money to be made there. Okay, New Zealand. New Zealand is home of the Maori. Have you ever seen them do the Maori dances before they do like a rugby game or some ceremonial thing? It is absolutely phenomenal. It is absolutely awe-inspiring. They're the ones who do like the crazy faces and the intimidation. Oh my God, it's absolutely incredible. Anyway, the Maori are going to be conquered by the British. Okay. So, all right, African resistance. We're almost done. Okay, your African resistance. Every place in the world is fighting back. No one wants to be taken. Okay. What you need to know, the big one, is the Xhosa people. This is the bigger one. Okay. So what is going to happen is the Xhosa, they brought European cattle, and you don't have to write this down. They brought European cattle, and then they had African cattle, and they were mixing, and diseases spread, and the African cattle who had no immunity to the European cattle were dying, and so God spoke to the Xhosa people saying that if you kill all of the animals, we will rid the lands of the British. Well, they killed all the animals. Guess what happens to the people? Yeah, they starve to death. Yeah. Guys, think about it. Hi, would anyone go around and slaughter things if things were going great? No. So when you hear things like the ghost dances, like people are literally dancing, trying to bring up the dead until they literally die, is because of how absolutely last chance they have of saving their identity, their culture, their people, their living, their lifestyle. Everything is on the edge of being lost, and they're doing whatever they can. So someone, a mystic came to them and said, kill all the cattle and everyone in the British will be gone. They do that, everyone dies because everyone is starving to death. And it is a huge catastrophe, killing thousands of Africans. Guys, does anyone do these types of things unless they're completely desperate? This should show you how desperate these people are to be out of these European powers' control. All right. Okay. I hope that you see, there's just a lot of rebellions, and guess who are going to win? Yeah, the British win, and they are fighting, and they are trying, and they are fighting, and they are trying. But who's industrialized?
British.
Who has the most money?
British.
So who's gonna win?
British.
Go forth and study.
Huh?
Go forth and study.
Go forth and study. Yeah, that's at the end of all my things. You don't like it? You have a test tomorrow, so you better study. Oh my God, am I the greatest of all time? Bye.
I never studied.
Oh well, that. Please walk away. Why would I?